This week has truly been a week of introspective work, and through that process, I've been really trusting my intuition and listening to what my heart has to tell me, what source has to tell me, and through this process, I've had to do some really deep, hard, spiritual inner work. And I've been on this process of transmuting the pain and suffering that I've gone through most of my life and reclaiming those things in a positive light rather than just always looking at it as a point of suffering. And through this process, I've been feeling more and more liberated. So I just wanted to share my experience with you guys because I'm sure we're all going through some shape or form of maybe a darkening of the soul or the darkening of the light within us, and it might be hard to transmute this without proper help or guidance, or not sure where to go, like within yourself, or to look for help. If it's something like really deep and heavy, I do recommend going to therapy or going to someone that is a trusted and emotionally and spiritually developed person to help you work through these things. For me, I do go to therapy and it's been very helpful. But one of the things that has been coming up recently is just like past life trauma, past experiences that I've gone through that are still like unresolved. And despite me feeling that I'm more of a healed being than I thought it was, like I've gone through so much the past few months specifically that I've been feeling really great within myself, there's still a sense of unease when it comes to certain things. And I've experienced that through my therapy session, the most recent one, as we're going through a specific exercise. And there's this part in my life that was extremely traumatizing for me, and it's hard to look at it and acknowledge it for what it is. But as I was going through this, my therapist noted that, that I haven't talked about it, and it's hard for me to talk about those things that I don't want to relive or think about because there's just a lot of pain associated with that. And we didn't dig deep into it, but after the fact, I've just been getting signs from source telling me like, hey, it's time to look at these things. It's time to go within and to stop hiding from these things that need to be addressed. So I knew once I got in the sign more than once that it was time for me to do it. Like, there's just no more pushing back on that. And what I'm doing here, like what I'm just instead of just me talking, just figured you guys would maybe like better. Maybe you guys would like seeing me create. So this is just something different. But this painting is a result of me going through my traumatic experience, and I don't mind sharing that with you. I don't really care too much about the details of this painting because that's the point. But regardless, I started to do some inner work, and one of the common themes that's been coming up in my life most recently is to look into Inanna. Some people might know Inanna as Ishtar or Aphrodite. They're all the same being, same archetype, same energy. And Inanna has been really coming to me very strongly for the past few months, but very recently I started to listen to a book about Inanna and her descent. and her descent is told throughout time in many different ways. Some people might be more familiar with Jesus Christ's resurrection. Inanna descended to the underworld for 3 days, 3 nights, just as Christ was crucified for 3 days and 3 nights before he was resurrected, and Inanna returned back to Earth. So, as I'm listening to this book, this person is sharing their experience about, this traumatic event that happened in their life. And it was just very similar to something that I went through, and what she felt after the traumatic event was exactly how I was feeling. So it was just, this happened directly after my therapy session, and I was just kind of flabbergasted at the synchronicity to it. So I just knew it was time. And as I've been going through and digging deep into this traumatic event that has happened in my life, a lot of healing also happened as well. And that's kind of what I want to share with you guys, is that as scary as it seems to resurface old wounds and to dissect them, it's so important to do it, because I don't think about my trauma. I don't think about the experience that I went through. I don't think about, how it made me feel on a day-to-day. Like, that happened so long ago. If I think about it, that realistically happened almost 14 years ago. And, I just didn't think too much of it. But when my therapist brought up that I never talked about it, like, I just brought it up. Like, hey, this happened, and that's it. I just never wanted to talk about it again. That made me realize that that's something I need to look at. There's a reason why I don't want to look at it, because obviously it's so painful. But it's like the greatest pain that we go through is like our biggest lessons. And that's what I started to realize after the fact. And as I have been going through this like exercise of going through Inanna's descent, I'll link the book that I'm referring to in the description, so that way if you guys wanted to go through something similar, you're more than welcome to. I'm listening to this on Spotify. If you have a Spotify membership, it's free on there, but I'm sure you can find the book or Audible or whatever is convenient for you, or you could just find another way to do the same thing. It doesn't have to be this way. It's just what works for me. So Inanna goes through 7 gates as she descends to the underworld, and through each gate, which is also representative of like each chakra. So she starts at the crown, which is the first gate, all the way down to the root chakra, which is the underworld. She has to shed something that she brought with her. So she wanted to descend to the underworld, and she came fully like dressed up as a queen, as the goddess that she is. And as she went through each level, she had to leave something behind until she was completely naked, completely vulnerable, in front of her sister, Ereshkigal. So the process that I went through was similar. It's like a shedding of beliefs, a shedding of, and it's also an understanding. Like, as you shed a belief, you come closer to the truth. So I'm going through this process. I'm still going through this process. I'm not like just fully out of the woods yet, but it's been very enlightening and very restorative for me to go through it, because I have for a long time restricted myself. I've prevented myself from expressing myself. I've prevented myself from sharing my feelings, or like even just like letting myself cry. Like, as I was going through this, I was completely by myself, but like, tears are building up because how painful these memories are, and the relief of realization that I was going through as I went through it was just like absolutely incredible. And everything in me wanted to fight back this feeling that I was going through. And it's like, okay, everything happens for a reason, and I understand that, but it's okay for me to share how I'm feeling, even if it's just with myself. In that case, like just crying. Like, it's okay to cry and to release the resistance that I was feeling. So as I was doing this exercise, one of the things that I did was I looked at myself, in this case my 15-year-old self, when this traumatic event happened, and I looked at her like how Inanna was hung. She was killed and hung on a nail in Ereshkigal's Underworld kingdom, and I looked at myself as that version of myself. Like, I saw myself hung up on that nail, and I tended to her, and I gave her love, and I took her off, and I brought her with me back up. It was like a meditative process. It was like a visualization. And in that moment, when I was holding myself and embracing myself and telling myself it's okay, I saw this. So this is what I painted that day. This is what I saw. It was really like this. And I realized that this was me, this little seed, and every single ring after is me as well. Think of like a rings of a tree. So these are all the years that come through. And what the feeling I felt as I was painting this was like I was being held and being healed, like healing waters. And it just felt so good. So there's not like so much of a message, like a clear message in this video that I'm trying to express, other than the fact that, you know, we all go through what we go through. And as much as I did not enjoy the experience that I went through as a teenager and had my traumatic experience, all these things happened for a reason. And even though it hurt, I'm grateful that I went through an experience that taught me so much, because now I can fully transmute that and share my message to the world, and maybe that'll help other people heal as well. And I'm still going through that process of healing. So this painting that I'm doing on my right, it's just to set the intention that it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have this burning will and desire to act in the world, especially as a woman raised in a traditional conservative immigrant household. In my childhood, that was like challenging a patriarchy that, you know, my parents were not used to. But I'm shedding these old beliefs that I integrated within myself. And I have a lot of Aries placements, so that's why I'm doing it this way, because it's like I dampened my flame so much that I almost completely killed that fire within me. So this is me reigniting that ember within my soul. And I'm just kind of free painting, as you can see. I'm just going with the flow. There's no derogative to like the intention of this painting, other than just to get the emotions and feelings out onto paper. But it's just an expressive way that I go through my experiences. So some of my art is like this, some of my art is just purely just creative and just having fun. This is a therapeutic thing for me. And maybe that resonates with some of you. Some of you might show that in other regards, like through motion. So like sports or exercising, or like, you know, just physical movement. Some might also be creative in a different way. Maybe it's singing, maybe it's like playing a musical instrument, maybe it's dancing. But regardless how that comes to you, you know, if you feel that there's something in your life that you are avoiding, There's a reason you're avoiding it, and the sooner that you face those things that you're avoiding, the faster you'll heal and move forward. And that doesn't mean that you have to just like tackle all the things that you've been struggling with in your life. That just means, you know, you're aware of these things and you can just take your time if that's what you need to move forward, or you could take like steps towards it, or you could just like full body embrace, you know, your experiences. And that's like the most important thing, is just like acknowledging that there's nothing good or bad in the world. What we perceive as good or bad is just a perspective, and what might be good for me might be bad for other people, and vice versa. So as long as you can like see even the tiniest silver lining in the worst of whatever you are dealing with, that alone is going to be enough to start catapulting you into a place of healing and having compassion for yourself or for others, and moving on from the hurt that you were feeling into something that is more pure, and allowing yourself to be who you are truly meant to be. So that's my message. I'm turning my mess into a message by sharing my experience. And this may or may not resonate with some people, but that's okay, you know? This is just gonna reach the people it needs to reach, and this might be the inspiration for them to, or the synchronicity they need to look at the thing that they have not been looking at, and to either acknowledge it if they haven't acknowledged it, or to maybe start working towards a way that is easy for them to manage that as well. So I'm going to continue on with my painting. I'm just letting it dry because this is watercolor and I want to give it some more depth. Like I said, there's no real, I don't care about perfection in this painting because this is just coming from a place of healing. So I have no room for being critical on myself or expecting a certain outcome out of this painting, other than just like allowing myself to intuitively paint. And even if you're not an artist, like, this isn't like amazing work, at least to me, you know. And what I mean by that, it's not like my finest work. Like, I have other great projects that I do and like that I find fulfillment painting, but this is just kind of like a healing my inner self kind of deal. So that could just mean scribbling on a piece of paper. I have tons of sketches that I'm just scribbling away, and there's no real direction, but the intent is getting the feeling out onto paper. So that's what I'm doing here, and you can definitely do this. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be a watercolor artist or have any specific tools. You could just have copy paper and a pencil or a pen if that's all you have. And just, I think the hardest part is getting the first mark down. So just, that should be the first thing you do. Do like an X somewhere or like a circle somewhere, just to make that blank paper not blank anymore. Because I think people who are artists know exactly what I mean. So I'm just giving you the heads up. If you are stuck looking at a blank piece of paper and you have the pen in your hand and you're like, I don't know what to do, just do a dash, do a circle, do something, and then you can work from that. It could be abstract. You can see something in the art, the mark that you made, and make something out of it, or you could just keep doing, you know, just scribbles. And even if it doesn't look like anything, you got something out, and that is like your first step. So it could be art, it could be writing something, like writing, maybe you want a journal and that's easier for you, or share it with someone that you really trust, that someone that is like really emotionally available and emotionally mature, who can handle some deep, dark stuff. Like, you could, if you feel safe enough to reach out to them, then, you know, it's better to do it with someone than alone. I'm grateful that I have a therapist and friends who are aware of themselves enough to be able to manage my deep emotional trauma. So yeah, this is just your sign to face the things that you don't want to face, and you'll start feeling like this incredible weight being lifted off of your shoulder, even if it's just taking one step at a time. It's better than keeping it locked within your nervous system. So I hope you guys find this video helpful and that this encourages you to do some healing within yourself. So thank you for being here with us, with me and my dog who's chilling right next to me. Thank you. Bye.